June,
Do you want me to say a few words first?
members of the Security Council.
Please. We're both here in our national capacities. Just to add to what the ambassador of Malta has said, we don't have much additional to add, except that we think today's resolution represents an important first step for the Council to have taken action on the crisis that is unfolding in Gaza. It's the first resolution since 2016 on the situation in the occupied Palestinian territories, so it was a big move and a lot of compromises from different Council members to get us to this clear voice from the Council today. And the calls in the Councils and the demands in the Councils for the clear implementation of international humanitarian law that is binding on all parties is perhaps one of the most important defining operative paragraphs of the entire resolution, under which all the other operative paragraphs come. This must be heeded. The second point I'd like to highlight is what really brought the Council together today was the desperate fate of children in Gaza. We have all been haunted by the scenes of children under the rubble, unable to send in search and rescue teams to bring them out. 5,000 children have lost their lives. This is unconscionable. And I think this move around children, including the release of children hostages also held in Gaza, has really brought the Council together today. It is a first step. Of course, we would all want to see a full humanitarian ceasefire, which is what the United Nations has called for. But we have to thank Malta, who have led this topic and led this file with so much dexterity and diplomacy. And we have to thank China in their capacity as President of the Council for steering the Council's output to this conclusion. It is a first step. It is not enough. The destruction in Gaza is horrifying, and we are all condemning it on a daily basis. But we will build on this to subsequent Council action on this file in the coming days and weeks, and we hope for a better outcome for the people, the Palestinian people. And of course, ultimately, the two-state solution remains the only option on the table for a durable, lasting peace. Thank you.
Ambassador, how many children do you think this resolution will save when Israel's envoy said they reject it outright?
Israel may have rejected it. I haven't seen the statement myself, but a council. Yeah, but the Council resolution is binding on all parties, and operative paragraph 1 demands for its implementation. Please read that operative paragraph carefully. Also read operative paragraph 6 carefully, where we've asked the Secretary General to report to the Council on the implementation of the resolution and to bring ideas to the Council of what he would need and what his team would need for further monitoring and implementation on the ground. This is the Security Council's work. This is the toolkit that we have, and we have utilized it to the furthest possible extent today. And I think that's a first step. It won't bring back those lives. We all feel devastated by that. But it is difficult geopolitical times, and to bring the unity of the Council today to speak with one voice on this subject that has haunted all of us over the last month is, I think, a momentous resolution for the sake of children today.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Arab group and the Islamic group, I just want to also thank Malta for their hardest efforts that they did in order to put this together. Also thank our colleague, our Emirates, UAE, for their really hard work in order to pull this together. Definitely it isn't really up to what we want to see, but we see it as the beginning of the first step towards hopefully a sustained ceasefire. We know how challenging it was to reach this point. It has been late. We reached a point where we're almost now 12,000 civilians have lost their lives, 5,000 of them children. So it is time to speak up. The attacks that are continuing on civilians and hospitals, and most recently on the Shifa hospital, is not acceptable. Therefore, actions are needed. We thank China for their presidency and what they're doing in order to push this forward. We're not going to stop here. We see this as a continuation of the resolution that was adopted in the General Assembly, which we stated very clearly 3 main objectives. First was a ceasefire, then humanitarian aid to enter immediately, and stop any forced transfer or displacement of the people in Gaza. This is a small step that we see might be done through this resolution, but also in the same time, we're going to see how it's going to be implemented and we want to call for accountability for those who will not comply. And this is very important. We'll be following this, and we're looking forward also on Friday, where we're going to be holding a humanitarian briefing in the General Assembly that we have called as the Arab Group and the Islamic Group. And there we will see what the situation is, and we always have to focus on saving lives, and this is our ultimate goal in this stage. Thank you.
I want to say a few words in English and then a few words in Arabic. In English, I want to first thank my brothers from the Arab Group, in which we were unified from day one in pressuring the international community to accomplish three objectives. As my brother Tahir said, ceasefire, stop the killing, stop the aggression. Then massive humanitarian assistance to the Palestinian people, food, water, medicine, fuel at scale as suggested by the Secretary General to reach all corners of the Gaza Strip. And thirdly, to stop the crime against humanity of forced mass transfer. We do not want a second Nakba to happen. We want to live in our country, in our beloved Gaza Strip, and we want to rebuild it. I am grateful, as I said, to the unity of everyone in the Arab Group that allowed us to keep inching forward towards these objectives. And also I'm grateful to the unity of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, who are also with us, and we work together, whether in the General Assembly or in other components of the United Nations. This unity allowed us also to have a strong representation in the Security Council. My sister, Her Excellency Lana Nusseibeh, the PR of the United Arab Emirates, she represented us well. She coordinated with us in every minute detail, and we complemented each other in order to accomplish the things that we've accomplished in the General Assembly, in the Security Council, and with the Secretary General of the United Nations. We are grateful to her and to her skills in also bringing along a friendly country, Malta, to introduce this resolution through a collaboration between the representative of the Arab countries, United Arab Emirates, and Malta, that allowed us to have this small, modest resolution. And of course, we are honored that during the presidency of China, a true friend to the Palestinian people and to their cause, that this resolution was adopted during their presidency. We are grateful to you and to many friends from all corners of the globe. The big test for us was in the General Assembly. We prevailed. We produced a humanitarian resolution, important one. We did not deviate from the objective of concentrating in a humanitarian way in putting an end to this crime that is unfolding before our eyes, engulfing the Palestinian people, the 2.3 million of them in the Gaza Strip and the millions in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem. And our hearts are torn apart when we look at the children being killed and injured or trying to dig them out from under the rubbles. 5,000 children to be killed in the Gaza Strip while the international community watching, while the Security Council is watching, is a stain in the forehead of the Security Council. They should have acted long time ago. That would allow for the saving all those children. But nevertheless, we want to save the remaining hundreds of thousands of children and civilians. We need to save their lives. That's why this resolution is a small step in the right direction. It did not produce ceasefire, but it's a step in that direction. We want ceasefire, permanent ceasefire, to take place. And we will keep knocking on the door of the Security Council. The crime committed yesterday and today in the Shifa hospital, something that we will not forget. And we will keep coming back to the Security Council, and we will go back to the General Assembly in the format of listening to representatives of humanitarian organizations of the United Nations to brief the international community about the situation in the occupied Palestinian territory, especially in the Gaza Strip. And we will decide on further steps as we move forward. We will not relent. We will not stop until we see the accomplishment of the resolution of the General Assembly and this small resolution in the Security Council in our way of putting an end to this crime against the Palestinian people and the barbaric attacks against our civilian population in the Gaza Strip. And then hopefully after that, a door will be opened for a meaningful political process. Let me just say a few things in Arabic. نشكر الأشقاء العرب وفي منظمة التعاون الإسلامي وأختنا لانا ممثلتنا في مجلس الأمن، وكذلك صديقنا ممثل رئيس مجلس الأمن سفير الصين الذي اعتمد هذا القرار بعد 7 سنوات من اعتماد آخر قرار إزاء المسألة الفلسطينية تحت رئاسته. هذه خطوة متواضعة في الاتجاه الذي نريد أن نصل إليه، وهو وقف إطلاق نار كامل وشامل وإدخال مساعدات إنسانية بالمستوى الذي يحتاجه أهلنا في قطاع غزة من ماء وغذاء ودواء ووقود لتتمكن المستشفيات من القيام بواجباتها، ولتتمكن محطات تحلية المياه من توفير مياه صالحة للشرب لأهلنا، وكذلك من أجل أن تتمكن الحافلات والسيارات من توزيع المساعدات الإنسانية التي تدخل من جنوب غزة لتصل إلى كل مكان في قطاع غزة. هذه خطوة صغيرة في الاتجاه الصحيح بعد 40 يوما اتخذها مجلس الأمن، وعار على جبينه أنه لم يتدخل مبكرا، لكنا قد أنقذنا ربما الآلاف من حياة الأطفال والمدنيين. ولكن بالرغم من ذلك وبالرغم من الألم وبالرغم من العذاب الذي يتعرض له شعبنا في غزة، لن نحيد عن مسيرة إلزام الأمم المتحدة وكل مكوناتها في أن تقوم بواجباتها في وقف هذا العدوان وتوفير كل مقومات الحياة لأهلنا وتوقيف التهجير القسري لهم. وبعد ذلك سننطلق إلى آفاق سياسية توصلنا إلى إنهاء الاحتلال وإنجاز استقلال دولة فلسطين وعاصمتها القدس الشريف، وحل عادل للاجئين على قاعدة القانون الدولي وقرارات الأمم المتحدة ذات الصلة، خاصة قرار 194. ولن ننسى المجرمين الذين أعطوا الأوامر لإحداث هذه الكوارث أن نلاحقهم في المحاكم الدولية كي يلقوا العقاب الذي يستحقوه. فمثل هذه الجرائم الذي يذهب ضحيتها 5000 طفل وعدد كبير من المدنيين لن نسمح لها أن تمر مرور الكرام، ولكن ذلك سيأتي في الوقت المناسب بعد أن نضع حدا لهذا العدوان. وأنا أعتز وأفتخر أنني جزء من هذه المجموعة، ومجموعة أكبر مش موجودة معنا طبعا، وزميلنا من كوبا كذلك موجود معنا. كل هؤلاء الناس الذين عندهم ضمائر حية والذين يتقطعوا ألم وهم يروا ما يحل بالشعب الفلسطيني في قطاع غزة، ويقفوا معنا ويساندونا ويدعمونا ويدعموا الشعب الفلسطيني، ونراهم بالملايين كذلك في شوارع وعواصم الدول المختلفة. نحن نحييهم جميعا ونعمل معهم كل من موقعه للوصول إلى وقف هذا العدوان وتوفير كل مستلزمات الحياة لأهلنا، وشكرا على تواجدكم معنا. أنتم تغطونا دائما. I want to give my friend, now just a second, please. I will respond to your question.
I should say I fully agree with what has been said by
I'll translate
Ambassador Nusseibeh, Ambassador Mansour, and other colleagues. And simply to say that first, the resolution adopted is really a meaningful step towards the final ceasefire and also the settlement of the conflict. And for that, I should really highly appreciate the strong solidarity and unity demonstrated by the Arabic countries and Muslim countries, and in particular the leading role played by Ambassador Mansour and Ambassador Nusseibeh, and also the great contributions made by other colleagues. I don't believe that without this solidarity, this unity, we can get what has happened to happen. And second, we have adopted a resolution, but we should not simply stop here. There are many things to be done. And the most important thing is to get this resolution implemented fully, and so as to realize a complete and lasting ceasefire and peace. And for that, we need to continue to make our joint efforts. And as the rotating presidency of the Council, we will continue to make along that direction. And third, in the long-term run, the solution lies in the implementation of the two-state solution. We have mentioned that many times. And if we do not want to see the resurgence of such tragic situations, we need to give all the fundamental rights back to the Palestinians and to get the two-state solution realized, and also to let the Palestinians to decide their own future. That's really what I wish to emphasize. And thank you again.
Thank you.
How would you explain this vote to the families who have lost their children in Gaza and for whom this resolution comes far too late, is a failure for them? How would you explain it to them?
I'm sure you know very well what happened in the past 40 days, and there's a strong willingness in the Council to have a resolution adopted. So we tried the Brazilian one, we tried several times the Russian texts, and then, for the reason we all know that we were not able to get there. But we have never given up, and it's late, but that it's a very, very important and meaningful first step. We hope that with this step, with our further effort, we can see a lasting peace, and also, at this moment, a really consolidated ceasefire.
I promised you to ask a
thank
question.
you.
You are the last one, and I
Thank
think
you.
we need
In
to go.
1973, King Faisal of Saudi Arabia announced an embargo on oil sales to Western countries plus Japan in retaliation for their support of Israel. I wonder if you expected same support from Arab countries since October 7th.
I missed the first part that you
In 1973,
73, yes.
King Faisal announced that embargo.
Yes.
You remember that. So I wonder if you expected same support from Arab countries since October 7th.
I think that the Arab countries and the Muslim countries just concluded a summit in Riyadh, and they adopted a very strong declarations, and I advise you, to go back to that very strong, statement that contained a number of elements that are very strong and powerful, and we will be working and guided by such declarations from Riyadh that, among other things, that it helped us, and the pressure that it created, it was an added element that allowed us to have this small step in the Security Council to have a humanitarian resolution without condemnation of anyone, which was the position of a number of countries fixated on the condemnation of one side, and they are not moving beyond the October 7th, and as if, history started on October 7th. So I think that there is this document, and of course we are only at the beginning of the process. Because there are attacks, against the hospitals. The Israeli government declared before the end of this meeting that they will not honor it, they will not implement it, which means that very likely we might come back again soon to the Security Council, demanding, that they find ways for the implementations of their resolutions, including this last one, 2417. So therefore, there are a lot of things before us that you could see through them the demonstration of the strength of the Arab and the Muslim countries and other countries, not only them, because now we are going to meet with different, regional groups, and we are going, to continue the mobilization so that we can succeed in having a ceasefire, in implementing, the essence of the resolution of the General Assembly, and to expand on the current resolution that was adopted today, and move into the political horizon and move into the accountability dimension. So there are a lot of things before us, and this current Israeli government is not going to respect anyone, any obligation, as we see it on the ground, which means that we will be coming back again, and we will assess and evaluate, and we will take all the necessary steps that allow the General Assembly, the Security Council, and the Secretary General to keep pushing ahead to put an end to this aggression. We thank you very much. And